Welcome to Stop Dating Losers. Don't forget to go to my website, sign up for free relationship coaching, and share this video with everyone you know. Let us go ahead and begin, shall we? Alright, first comment of the show. I'll never understand 21-year-old kids trying to sleep with people in their 40s. Baby, I say this with love. Go to therapy. Alright, well, I say this with maturity. Grow up. Because, number one, that's what we're talking about here. A grown-up 21-year-old is not a kid. Alright? You need to go to the dictionary to learn that lesson. A 21-year-old is an adult. Okay? Hence 21. And whatever people choose to do in their 40s and in their early 20s, as early as that may be, it's called freedom. If they want to get with each other and have a relationship, that's their business. There's no need to go to therapy. The only person that sounds like they need therapy is, guess who? That's right, yourself. Because sounds like you have a severe attitude problem already. You said you'll never understand. It's not college level education here. This is very simple. Even a little kid, an actual kid, by the way, would be able to understand that two grown adults can do whatever they want. And they understand the concept of freedom. So the only person acting like a real kid here is yourself. If you really look at it, you'll never understand. I wonder what else you'll never understand. You know, it gets you to wonder. It gets you to imagine, you know, what else can this lady not understand? You know, to sleep with people in their 40s. Okay, so like I said many times in the show, this is just a direct reflection, a mirror, a self-image, right? So she's projecting. She's obviously upset that she doesn't have a partner in her life. Because if she does, she's obviously not happy, because happy people don't say things like this. Happy people are like, hey, whatever floats your boat, do what makes you happy. Whether you're 21 and 40 together, or heck, I know 20-year-olds, you know, in relationships with some 50-year-olds. Whatever floats their boat, but it's called freedom, and it's called being an adult and making your own decisions. So, it takes two, right? You know, this is a classic case of ageism, which is discriminating older people and what they choose to do, or younger people and what they choose to do with their lives, just because of their age. So, this lady doesn't know any of the circumstances. Maybe a 21-year-old fell in love with the 40-year-old, and the 40-year-old fell in love with the 20-year-old. Who can say that that's actually wrong? It's possible. It does happen. So, jealousy. It's showing big time here. Let's go ahead and move on to the next comment, shall we? Wow. You know, people just end up exposing themselves when they write ridiculous, immature things like that. Men think women are slow. Newsflash. We're smarter than you. Oh boy. Well, newsflash. Men and women, mature men and women, are both smart. And they don't go around acting ignorant like you, saying that one is smarter than the other. No. A mature man respects women and other men, and a mature woman respects men and other women. It's not that difficult to understand. So once again, we have an absolutely ignorant and very miserable person here saying this. So that's your news flash. You don't sound too smart. You know? I mean, she's a woman who is obviously in a lot of pain, mental and emotional anguish. And she's trying to shout out into the void of social media, saying that, you know, men are the slow ones. You're saying the same thing. Let's look at what's actually happening here, how ridiculous this is. So, she's claiming that men And by the way, that means all men. There's no exceptions because her brain can't handle that possibility that there's actually good men in this world who don't call women slow. Mature, educated men, by the way, naturally educated. She can't comprehend that fact that there are tons of great men in this world. So just because she got butt hurt, she got, hurt by a toxic male, a toxic guy, now she's going to do the same thing that she's accusing supposedly men of doing. Understand? Now she became the very thing that triggered her in the first place. You understand how this works? I've said it in a previous episode where when you say things like this, all men this, all women that, you're becoming the exact thing that you're complaining about. You have to take a look in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I accomplishing by saying these things? Obviously, nothing. So when you say stupid things like this, men this, what caused you to say that? A miserable life. Because if you were a happy woman, you wouldn't say things like this. And if you were an educated woman, by nature, by the way, just naturally living, you would be very observant and wise to notice that, hey, there are good men in this world. But you're not appreciative of that fact because you're blinded by this fear, by this self-defeatist attitude. You fear trusting men again because you were burned by a toxic man. And so now you're just yelling into the void. You're coping. And that's all you're telling the public. And if you speak to people offline like this, you're embarrassing yourself as an uneducated, immature, and ignorant female. Because I really hesitate to call you a real woman. Because real women don't think like this. And real men don't bash women either with comments that are sexist, right? Let's go ahead and move on to our third comment. My goodness, it's just, you have to tear apart such individuals because, they're not going to learn their lesson because they're so ignorant. We're not in a men versus woman era. Okay, men versus women era. We're in an era where women are outdoing men within a system built by men. Really? That's rather quite sexist. For men, that's not true. And there are repercussions for that. Okay, all right. Yet another ignorant female. Let us go ahead and address this. All right, first of all, there was never a men versus women era. Did you know both men and women are born out of women? And without men, birth wouldn't be possible. Okay? So it takes two to tango. It takes two to create new life forms, right? New men and women. I can't believe I have to give you an elementary school biology lesson on how life works. So that means that there is never men versus women to begin with. Okay? Whether or not you believe Adam and Eve, the first people to ever exist, I don't care what you believe. There was no such thing, and there isn't such thing as men versus women. What there is toxic men, which I hesitate to call men, toxic males versus toxic females, who both do not deserve to be called real men and women. The fact is, there are good men and women, and there are toxic, bad men and women. All right, let's move on to the second part. We're in an era where women are outdoing men. Exactly how? Why would women want to outdo men in anything? The men don't want to outdo women. Men do what they do because that's what they want to do. And real, respectful, educated, loving women do the same. They do what they do because they want to do. They don't do it so, oh, I'm better than a man. You got an ego problem there. You might want to see a psychologist. You got some real problems there. And guess what? No man's going to want to be by your side with that type of toxic attitude. Just like a toxic male who says, wow, this is a man's world. Even the song says that it would be nothing without a woman. Says this is a man's world, but it'd be nothing without a woman, right? Even the singer knows this fact. But he's still wrong. It's not a man's world at all. Men need females in their life. It's self-explanatory. And then the system. What system are you talking about? The economic system? That's just a monetary system that both men and women participate in. All right, so let's take a war scenario. The men are at war in the beginning during the world wars, and the women were back home making ammunition or making the uniforms that the soldiers wear. So without those women, there would be no uniforms and the ammunition. So now you have to bring back a lot of men in order to fulfill those roles. It doesn't matter what you do as a man or a woman. We're both equally important. And you'd be surprised, because I strongly suspect that this person's going to claim to be a feminist. No, you're a sexist. There's a strong difference, a big, thick red line, all right, permanent marker difference between a sexist who is ignorant and uneducated and not worth anybody's time, like this person, and a real feminist who stands up for women's rights, which they've had for quite some time now. A long time. Okay? So women and men they have always been equal for a very long time. Anybody who wants to dispute that is ignorant themselves. Okay? So there's no more rights that women could possibly have. They've had the same rights as men for a very long time. Okay? So built by men, wrong. Because without women, men wouldn't even be born, and men wouldn't be educated by their mothers, their loving mothers, if they were fortunate to have them around. And they wouldn't have that desire to help build the system and maintain the system. All right? So, repercussions. What kind of repercussions are you describing? Oh, well, now the toxic women are going to be upset because they think it's a man's world, who built the system for other men. I mean, how ridiculous is that? What kind of repercussions are we talking about? You crying about things that are not true? They say things that are completely untrue, and they're bitter about it. And that's just a sad, miserable, bitter life is what these people have in store for their futures. And nobody's going to be around that. They're going to live at home with a pet, lonely, cry themselves to sleep every night. Okay, let's move on. Women are no longer attracted to men. And it's not even about looks. The lack of leadership, emotional immaturity, poor communication, inconsistent efforts, and inability to connect on a deeper level. It's a complete turnoff. Women are tired of dating. Okay, so behold, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, we have the spokeswoman for all women. The spokeswoman for all women out there, of the whole world, by the way. Okay? So she's not saying some women or a lot of women are tired of dating. No. She's saying all women. All right. I don't know who made her the spokeswoman for all women. I don't know when that vote took place. Now, this is interesting because last time I checked, there are plenty of women out there strongly attracted to men. All right. There's a little bit of everything, but let me just state a clear fact here. All right. It's natural by nature for men to be attracted to women and vice versa. So what you're stating here, women are no longer attracted to men, is absolutely beyond ridiculous. And it's not even about looks. I would hope it's not about looks only, because you should care about the guy's personality, how he thinks, what he feels. Because if you're just looking at looks, you're just exposing yourself as shallow and very disrespectful to the opposite gender. The lack of leadership, the lack of education on your part. Talk about poor communication. So you have a strong inability to even write something productive, and you're complaining about nothing. You're just exposing how bitter and miserable you truly are. Let's go ahead and move on. You're not a feminist, if you think women are better than men. But people aren't ready for that discussion yet. Yeah, so like I said before, that's kind of interesting. This one does go hand in hand. Yeah, feminism is all about maintaining women's rights equal to men's rights. That's it. And then yes, we do have men's rights activists as well. And yeah, sure, we can use on both sides. Yeah. But, overall it should be human rights and equality for all. We shouldn't have men's rights and women's rights, form of feminism or activists. We shouldn't need that. Everybody should be mature adults here and simply treat each other as equals. But, if you participate in the gender war and this sexism, you're part of the problem. And, to go ahead and lie and say feminism is about hating men and, complaining all the time that this is a man's world, that's garbage. That's not what I believe. If we have to have feminism, I don't think that's what it should be. I think it should be making sure that women are treated equally in the workplace, at home, domestically, whatever you can. Be an activist. But that's about it. Equal rights, equal treatment. And the men should do the same, because there's lots of men who are also disrespected in the workplace and domestically. They're not taken seriously. They're belittled. They're abused, through verbal and physical abuse. What about men's rights? So once again, human rights. That's what should really be emphasized. So, all right, we already dealt with that. Let's go ahead and conclude here. What a wild show. If you have a comment that you would like for me to go over on this show, put it down in the comment section down below. This has been Coach Ben's Stop Dating Losers. Much love, everybody.